it's Dr. Scott Harrington coming to you live from my virtual doctor's office at veganprimarycare.com, where you can see a vegan doctor as your primary care doctor virtually from most US states. Not just a one-time consultation, but as your primary care doctor, someone who gets to know you and someone who can be your health advocate. Because I'm licensed in most US states, even if you move, you don't have to change for doctors. If you are vegan, then get a doctor who gets you. If you haven't adopted a plant-based diet yet, but you're still welcome to be my patient. Beware though, diet and exercise and lifestyle changes will always be my first recommendation. My goal is for you to take control of your health. And through the power of a healthy lifestyle, we will work to heal your chronic conditions and help you get off your chronic medications. Before we start today, I have an announcement. Vegan Primary Care and I will be presenting at the Solid Rockin' Veg Fest and Healthy Living Expo on Saturday, this Saturday, 12 noon to 5:30 p.m. at the Solid Rock Community School in Tarpon Springs, Florida. This event will be outdoors. I will be wearing my mask. We will be one of the event sponsors. I will be speaking along with other presenters, including Dr. Michael Clapper, the well-known and highly respected vegan doctor and educator. He has made it his personal mission to present at medical schools to educate new physicians about the power of a plant-based diet. He's been featured in several vegan documentaries, including What the Health and Cowspiracy, and he is one of my personal heroes, and I'm honored to be speaking at the same event. Remember that this content is for educational purposes and entertainment purposes only. This video is not intended to take place of your own doctor's advice. Okay, we are streaming live to multiple platforms and ready to take your questions. Okay, online we've got Shannon Blair. She is one of the folks who are arranging one of the masterminds behind the Rockin' Veg Fest. So I'm glad she's here today. That's awesome. Hi, Kelly Pacella. Nice to see you on. All right, Kimmy Hellman. All right. I'm excited for today. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be speaking at the Veg Fest. My presentation is going to be about the vegan transformation, in terms of the hero's journey, how you go from being someone who eats an omnivore diet to someone who is vegan and almost immune to the temptations of the different food and junk food in the diet. And so how do you go from sort of being tempted all the time to being sort of rock solid? So hopefully you guys will like that. Okay, so let's see. One of the first questions today, any advice for health insurance for a vegan runner couple? We should be able to save, right? All right, so the question is, if you don't have insurance, it's important to be on a vegan diet because the vegan diet helps with a lot of medical problems, like for instance, hypertension, high cholesterol. It's the food. The food is responsible for most of the chronic conditions that we deal with. And so if you don't have health insurance, you certainly want to be on a health promoting diet. In terms of which health insurance that we offer or that we accept at Vegan Primary Care, we're working more and more to get more health insurance to be their preferred provider. Right now we have Cigna and we have TRICARE and we have Medicare, although there's issues at this time with Medicare. If you have Medicare, if you have a supplement, make sure you call us so that we accept this before you make the appointment. William Rosenfeld, make sure you clarify your question so I can help you best. All right. Okay. So if you have really very specific health questions, and it may be best to not totally put your health information out online. So if you have very, very specific questions about your specific health condition, in Facebook Messenger and DM me, direct message me a question if you have something very specific. If it's too complicated, we'll have an appointment. But if there's some very general questions, put them in the list here. Okay. All right. Hi, Krista Allen. We've got Krista Allen today. Okay. Ferdinanda Thompson. Okay, let's see. All right. So I guess the question here we have is someone who has low platelets, a question about low platelets, and someone who has low platelets. This is a problem that doctors will pick up who are not used to the vegan diet. Ferdinanda has highlighted a problem that a lot of vegans have struggled with. Normally you go to your doctor about once a year and you'll be told, hey, let's get some labs. And when they do the basic lab work, sometimes they'll find that vegans will have lower platelet counts, not lower than 50, but lower than 150, which is considered to be the normal range. Maybe it's 120, 130, and but with no other bleeding complications such as bruising or prolonged bleeding time. And this can cause a lot of consternation. So they're sending you to the blood specialist. They're worried they're missing something, and they're sending you all over tarnation trying to figure this out. And it's because part of the platelets are kind of like an acute phase reactant or acute inflammatory marker, not a direct inflammatory marker, but people with higher inflammation tend to have higher platelet counts. And the vegan diet has lower inflammation. And just for that reason, folks who tend to have low calorie diets tend to have lower platelet counts. That's a very good question, Fernanda, and I hope I answered it for you. Another one that people tend to have who are vegan are lower white blood counts. Now, I mean, you shouldn't have a low absolute neutrophil count, signs of immunocompromise, but it tends to be on the lower scale. And so that's something that can also be kind of confusing for doctors who are not used to vegan patients. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have one here. All right, I'm reading Krista's question. I've lost lifelong vegan. We have one of Krista's children has become a doctor. That's great. Would I be able to take the place of a primary doctor? The answer is yes. Vegan primary care is designed to be primary care through 100% telemedicine. So this is great. This is great. You know, with the COVID pandemic, people are more willing to be seen online for their primary care, and it's starting to become a standard. More and more people are going to telemedicine. Now, there are limitations to telemedicine. Certainly, you can't do certain exams, certain well-woman exams, or for instance, like a prostate exam. And so it is good if you have a GYN to keep your GYN or keep the providers who do procedure-based specialties. And that's a requirement. But most primary care is where you're doing preventative testing, we're maybe ordering cancer prevention studies like mammograms or colonoscopies. All that can be done online. And if you have an urgent need, if you're having something where you have to have an exam, you could always go to urgent care. But most of the time, that's not required for primary care. The other good thing, there are devices like the Taito Care device, which can send a heart and lung exam through audio file to your telemedicine doctor or me. But most of the time, this is not required. I will say that people who have start to get involved with telemedicine, it's important you get the most out of your telemedicine visit if you have a blood pressure cuff, if you which you can buy for $30 to $50 depending online. You can get a thermometer. You weigh yourself. do your vital signs before the visit. That way you get the most out of it. Certainly, if you have a problem with blood pressure, this is something that you should have anyway. You should take control of your health, have those devices at home. Okay. Kelly Pacella, curious about the effects of coffee and tea or caffeine on cholesterol. Okay. All right. So Kelly, this is a good question. One of the things I'll tell people before they get their labs is don't have your coffee, even though if you have it without sugar, maybe this wouldn't affect the cholesterol. So yeah, you want to be fasting before you get your cholesterol labs. But in terms of caffeine in general, I don't know that caffeine in general can cause an increase in the cholesterol. However, coffee that is produced through a press and a metal filter, something that isn't used with a fibrous filter, natural fibrous filter, can contain oils that do actually mildly increase your cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. So that is a good pickup, Kelly Pacella, that you can have with the pressed, like the espresso-based coffee products can increase that. I haven't heard it necessarily with tea. Okay. Okay, so next question. Okay, we want to say hi to Jose Nix. Jose Nix, hi there. Okay, so Jacqueline Rose Ramondo. Oh, hey, it's PCRM. The folks at PCRM. That is great. Thanks for coming on today. That is great, Jacqueline. All right. And definitely PCRM and nutritionfacts.org are great resources. I'm all the time looking at their resources that they have available. Dr. Barnard at PCRM and all of the physicians who are at PCRM, they have great resources. And of course, Dr. Greger is an amazing resource. He's putting out videos nearly every day about the latest nutrition guidelines and nutrition evidence. And Dr. Barnard and the folks over at PCRM, they do research, they do so much stuff and advocacy for animals and our planet and for our health. So they're based out of DC, and they try to get regulation for the plant-based regulations throughout the country. So I'm just thanks for the recognition there, Jacqueline. And I highly respect you guys. Okay, so Krista, can you provide basic paperwork required for public schools and college entrance through a telehealth visit? This is a good question. Unfortunately, I cannot, unless you use a Tyto Care device or some other device where you can do the heart and lung exam. You can't lie on the paperwork where it requires an exam. Now we could sort of do the paperwork on a telemedicine exam. If you don't have something called a Tyto Care device, you could do something where we say, well, the exam was waived due to telemedicine, but these are the recommendations from the institution where you're getting the form filled out. And so these couldn't be done through telemedicine without such a thing as the Tyto Care device. Okay, so we have a message from our staff. Yeah. So along with this question about telemedicine and can you provide work documents that require a specific exam, the good news is that Vegan Primary Care is looking forward to opening up a brick and mortar. We're looking at Pinellas Park, just south of Palm Harbor here in Clearwater. So we're looking at opening up a couple of days a week to try to help with the patients who require certain in-person exams. So this is in the works. If you were interested, just let us know. Send out a message. You can contact us through email at Vegan Primary Care, or send me a message through Facebook or through a direct message, or call our office. Call our office on the website, 727-222-3036. All right, Krista. Okay, let's see. We've got some information from Shannon. Shannon Blair. All right, we're looking forward to seeing you at the Solid Rockin' Veg Fest. All right. Thank you. I look forward to it. We'll be going over a little bit about telemedicine and the wonders of telemedicine. All right. Okay, so Annette Felix Davila says that she will see us once we get her insurance. Okay, so we're working on it. We're definitely working on getting multiple insurance companies as a preferred provider. We're also trying to get into right now, the other states that we're working on besides Florida include Oregon and California, and then the next one after that will be Texas. Okay. All right. Janine writes, are you working with or hiring other vegan doctors? So at this time, the throughput of patients is not high enough for us to provide multiple doctors with enough patients, but this is the goal. Of course, the goal is to have, like PCRM, that is an organization that has multiple doctors. The staff here at Vegan Primary Care, we want to have a variety of doctors, vegan doctors here for everyone, so that we can expand our the services out to lots of folks. So as we grow, we will definitely grow in providers. That's for sure. Our goal is through telemedicine and being able to meet people conveniently like this, is that we can actually spend more time with the patient. So the standard is an hour for folks who come in for an initial visit and 30 minutes for follow-up visits. And when time permits, an hour for follow-up visits if that's required. Okay. Okay, Jose Nix, can you have high protein, moderate fat, and low carb metrics on a vegan diet? All right, Jose Nix, thanks for the question. So, I mean, you can do any type of macros that you want. I mean, you can do anything. Some people even follow a keto diet using a vegan, like the principles of a plant-based diet. So they look to try to just do the high protein and protein bars and stuff that are totally plant-based. And it's Dr. Bellardo of Nutrition Rounds podcast put out stuff about the keto diet, vegan keto diet, and there's vegan keto sites. However, at this time, I don't recommend vegan keto just because I recommend a diet that's high in carbs. Even though I don't recommend people try to track their macros, I recommend a way to wrap your head around it is 80% carbs, 10% fat, and 10% protein. So that sounds a little wild, oh my God, only 10% protein. Oh gosh, 80% carbs. Well, in the protein, even when you're an infant and you're drinking breast milk, only 6% of the calories that you get are from protein. So that's even when you're doubling in size and you're really small. So we know that it's fine to have protein is that low. And if you tend to eat calories, you can tend to match your 0.8 grams per kilogram of lean body mass of protein with a standard plant-based diet. That's no problem. That's no problem. So 80% carbs. Carbs is where you get your energy. It's your fuel. You just want to keep fat low because fat is the fat you eat is the fat you wear. It's really absorbable. It's really storable, and it increases your insulin resistance. And so we want to keep that to like 10% around. One of the ways that you can track your macros, I find tracking macros very difficult, but one of the ways that you can track it really easily is use that web app called Chronometer. The Chronometer app is free, and I find that when my patients want to know a specific nutrient, like how much calcium are they getting, or how much magnesium, or they're interested in a specific nutrient, I'll have folks use the Chronometer and only monitor their meals for, say, 1 to 2 days, because it's very difficult to put in everything you eat. And if you have anything that's not packaged, which you shouldn't, you should be eating mostly produce, you're having to calculate it out, and sometimes it can be cumbersome. So do that for 1 to 2 days, and then you can see your macros and your micronutrients. You can even go into the settings to change the percentages to the 80-10-10. Okay. All right. We've got more questions. Okay, we've got Leah Sackett. Thoughts on vegans getting COVID vaccine as it was tested on animals? Yes, the vegan, the shot itself is vegan. It contains no animal products, so that is good. But it was tested on animals, so I do not recommend that these vaccines be tested on animals, and this is a tragedy. It is a tragedy for them to be tested on animals, as animals suffered, and this is tough. Currently, the FDA requires that this is the case, and folks like the folks at PCRM are working on getting the FDA rules changed so that there's new technologies that are being developed so that you can get a human analog type test where you have human tissue that or human cells or chips where it is human tissue that can be tested, and you get in a way a more accurate result because it's not tested on another species. So this is a tragedy that they were tested on animals, but at the same time, we shouldn't let that sacrifice block us from using the vaccinations, because it is life-saving. And so I definitely am not an anti-vaxxer. I'm pro-vaccine. I've been in the military. I've had every vaccine under the sun. And I just got my COVID vaccine yesterday through the Department of Veterans Affairs. So VA, because of the military, I was able to get that, and as a provider as well. Okay, so those are my thoughts, Lee. I hope that will shed some light there. Okay. Damian Golding. What items are rich with vitamin B12 besides supplements? Well, there are nutritional yeasts. Nutritional yeasts do have B12, and that's the supplement that comes to mind in terms of some people have problems with nutritional yeast. Folks with inflammatory bowel disease should not take nutritional yeast because it could potentially worsen a flare or cause a flare. And in general, it is nice to be able to get your vitamins and your all essential nutrients through your diet. That's a big theory of the whole food plant-based diet, is that vitamins, nutrients, phytochemicals, minerals, when they are presented in the whole food form, they are presented in the way that we were evolved to consume them. And it's best to try to get your nutrients that way. B12 is difficult because B12 comes from the soil, and we rinse away the bacteria that it's produced by, and we sanitize everything. And so B12 is what tends to be low in both vegans and omnivores because of our sanitary life. So you can get it from nutritional yeast, but I recommend a supplement on this one. I'm mostly anti-supplement for most other things, but vitamin D and B12 I recommend a supplement for, just because you don't want to fool around with B12. You want to make sure you have enough. 500 micrograms per day. 2,500 micrograms weekly. Or if you are over 50, I'm learning that you should probably take up to 1,000 micrograms of B12 daily due to absorption issues and those kind of things. Okay. Okay, we've got... Okay, awesome, says Jose. Awesome, thank you. All right, Krista Allen says there is a huge vegan keto group on Facebook. Kind of giving you feedback there. Okay, Damien asked, are you going to go live every Wednesday at 12? Okay, so there's been a switch. There's been a recent switch. I was going on at 1. Now I'm going to start going on at 12. We got some feedback that people wanted to see us live during lunchtime, Eastern Standard. So we're going to do that. April's going to be a little bit of a sparse month for us. We're going to do it once in the beginning and once at the end. I have other jobs through the Army I'll be doing in April. But look forward to that. Okay. We've got some feedback from Krista saying that the Moderna and the Pfizer are both plant-based. It suggests that there might be dairy products. As far as I know, there are no dairy products. There was a lipid that was a plant-based lipid. So that on the CDC website, that is talks about the plant-based lipid. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that those vaccines are completely plant-based as far as I know. Okay, I do have some announcements. I recommend that you get the vaccine, especially in Florida. If you're over 50, go get your vaccine, get it set up. If you're under 50 and you're overweight or have any kind of medical conditions like diabetes or hypertension, please reach out to me. I can get you a letter of necessity for a COVID vaccination, and we can get that done. We can get you vaccinated. 13% of all Americans are vaccinated right now with their second vax or at least one Johnson & Johnson vaccination. So this is good news. And another thing I would like to announce, please send me any of your favorite podcasts, vegan podcasts. We want to highlight some podcasts and create an article, so a piece of content for you that will contain the different podcasts and what they do. I really like, once again, the PCRM's Exam Room Live. I like Dr. Greger's content. I also listen to Veggie Doctor Radio and Nutrition Rounds, Dr. Blardo. I think those are really great. We are getting to the end of our talk, and I wanted to say thank you for everyone who reached out today. And it's been a real pleasure. I will say, please go ahead and share this, like it, and share it. Share it to your friends so they can send me questions, and we'll answer them next week. Overall, thank you for participating in this live event with me, Dr. Scott Harrington, in Vegan Primary Care. I look forward to doing a weekly broadcast to answer your questions. Once again, thank you for your questions. I look forward to seeing you next week, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. Take care.